job. Now that's a funny word, isn't it? You say it in a room full of people and watch their eyes twitch. Some get nervous, some get sad, and a few start sweating. Because the idea of work, real work, scares people. Not just the clocking in, the deadlines, the suits, the paychecks. No. It's deeper than that. It's the meaning, the weight, the responsibility of being chosen to do something, to matter. That kind of job, that kind of calling, that terrifies people more than failure ever could. They'll tell you it's not your time, that you're not ready, not skilled enough, not polished enough, not professional enough, whatever that means in a world where people with dead eyes and perfect resumes run in circles and call it success. But let me tell you something. That job, that role, that assignment, it already has your name on it, stamped, sealed, not because you earned it, not because you charmed your way into it, because it was written, scripted, long before the world taught you to doubt it. And you feel it, don't you? That itch, that tug in your chest that shows up at the worst times, when you're staring at a screen full of open tabs and empty motivation, when you're watching someone else walk in the very shoes you dream of, but you're stuck barefoot on the sidelines. You try to silence it. Tell yourself maybe it's just fantasy. Maybe you're being unrealistic. But it doesn't go away. It won't go away. Because it was never a suggestion. It's a summon. Now here's where it gets messy. The moment that calling starts to burn in your gut, fear shows up, dressed like logic, whispering all the right words. Be careful. Don't get your hopes up. Play it safe. You start listing qualifications you don't have, experience you lack, competition that's better, as if destiny was some cold HR department weighing resumes and checking grammar. No. This isn't about qualification. It's about obedience, alignment, stepping into the fire, even if your knees are buckling. But most people, they'll stay stuck at the threshold, watching the opportunity like it's some glass box they're not allowed to touch, afraid of making the wrong move, so they make no move, and in doing nothing, they slowly kill the thing that was meant to make them come alive. They'd rather bury the vision than risk watching it fail in public. But here's the real joke. Failure was never the enemy. Inaction was. Fear isn't stopping you. Your belief in the fear is. See, the job's not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to move. For you to stop hiding behind hypotheticals and step into the arena, bloody, broken, and ready. Not ready like polished, ready like surrendered. Ready like I might fall on my face, but I'm not turning back. That kind of ready terrifies systems, breaks cycles. It makes the ones who never moved start squirming in their silence. And they'll try to stop you, not with force, with finesse, quiet jabs, subtle doubts. Are you sure that's the right path? Maybe you should wait a little longer. You don't want to rush into anything. They dress their fear and concern and sell it as wisdom, but deep down, they know. If you say yes, if you step into the thing they were too scared to reach for, it'll expose their decision to stay safe. And nothing haunts the playing it safe crowd more than someone who said yes to risk. You're not behind, you're not disqualified, you're not late. The position wasn't filled while you were healing, it wasn't canceled because you fell. It's still there, and it still has your name on it. because the one who assigned it doesn't operate on man's timeline, doesn't disqualify based on your detours. You've been in training whether you knew it or not. Every closed door, every tear-soaked night, every moment of silence was preparing you, not punishing you, preparing you. And now it's time to knock. But knocking takes nerve. It takes getting back up when your knees don't want to move. It takes trusting the whisper when the noise says otherwise. It takes walking up to the very thing that used to intimidate you and saying, I'm here. Not because you think you're the best, because you know you were sent. That changes everything. When you stop applying like a beggar and start showing up like you belong, the atmosphere shifts, because purpose doesn't beg. Most will miss it. They'll keep looking for signs, keep asking for confirmations, keep delaying until the flame turns to smoke. But not you. You've seen too much, felt too much. You know what it's like to be passed over, overlooked, underestimated, and now it's personal. Now you're done waiting for permission. You're not hoping to be seen. You know you were chosen. And that kind of knowing, if you let it out of your system, if you let it out of your feeling, I mean all you're feeling, your gut tells you. Let's find out. Rejection. Now that's a word with flavor. Bitterness baked right into the syllables. Makes people flinch like it's a gunshot, because they think rejection means the end of the road, a slammed door, a final verdict, case closed, story over, thanks for playing. But what if it wasn't a wall? What if it was a detour? A twist in the plot, not a tragic ending, but a divine edit. See, people love the idea of being chosen, until they're told not here, not now. Then the panic sets in, the doubt, the shame. But the reroute? That's where the real game begins. Because rejection doesn't say you're not worth it, it says this ain't it. Not this route, not this setup, not this cheap version of what was promised. But when your identity's tied to outcomes, when you think your value comes from validation, every no feels like an assassination. And so you spiral, you cry, scream, break things, maybe break yourself. All because you thought the job, the role, the open door was the prize. It wasn't. It never was. The alignment was the prize, the assignment that fits your spirit, not just your resume. Oh, but try telling that to someone fresh off a rejection letter. Watch them unravel. They'll start rewriting their worth based on someone else's blind spot. Maybe I'm not qualified. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe. They make rejection about their identity, not their direction. But here's the part they never told you. Sometimes you get denied on purpose, because if you had been accepted too early, you'd have self-destructed inside a space that wasn't built for your depth. You'd have outgrown it in weeks. Or worse, you'd have shrunk to fit it and called that peace. So what if you started seeing rejection as redirection? What if it wasn't rejection from something, but protection for something? That job that ghosted you? That door that slammed? That opportunity that evaporated right when you thought it was yours? What if that wasn't sabotage, but a setup? Not for your comfort, but for your calling. But people hate this part. They want straight lines, smooth roads, no detours, no potholes, no signs that say not yet. Because detours require trust, and most people don't trust what they can't control. You ever notice how some of the worst moments feel like betrayal until you look back and realize they were blueprints? You thought you were being punished, but really you were being placed. You thought the door closed because you weren't enough, but maybe it closed because the room was too small. You were ready for a desk and something bigger was building a throne, but the noise in your head kept screaming, "You failed." You didn't fail. You just turned too early and found a wall where the map hadn't printed yet. You want to know who's dangerous? The one who's been rejected and didn't quit. The one who got overlooked and kept showing up. The one who stopped asking, "Why not me?" and started whispering, "Where next?" That's the one you can't kill with silence, can't break with delay, because they've learned how to read between the lines of every closed door and see not judgment, but redirection. They've stopped measuring themselves by applause and started moving by assignment. Let the others cry over no's. You'll build with them. Stack every rejection like bricks and use them to climb higher. Let them laugh. Let them say you're chasing shadows, because while they're busy licking wounds over the wrong rooms, you're being tailored for the right one, the one with your name on the key card. And that room, it requires a version of you that rejection carved, not the naive one, not the polished faker, the refined one. The one who's been through the fire and still said, "I'm not done yet." See, people think open doors are blessings, but sometimes the blessing is the door that doesn't open, the one you tried to kick in only to realize it led to a cage. So many beg for access when what they need is escape. But ego doesn't like that story. Ego wants now, ego wants applause, but purpose wants placement. And sometimes placement comes through pain, through pause, through process, the kind that doesn't come with trophies, only scars. But scars make you dangerous. Scars say, "I've been denied and I'm still standing." Scars say, "I don't need their yes to breathe." You walk different when you've been rejected and still rose. You stop asking rooms to validate you and start bringing your own atmosphere. And when you walk in like that, rejection doesn't shake you anymore. It just redirects the fire where it's needed most. You are not unemployed by purpose. You're just unsubmitted to process. And oh, that stings, doesn't it? Because it's easier to say, "There's nothing out there for me," than to admit, "I've been dodging the grind that makes me ready." It's easier to blame the silence on heaven than admit we've been covering our ears. People love the idea of calling. They want purpose, they want power, but when it comes time to bleed for it, sweat for it, wait for it, they flinch. They want the crown, but not the crushing, the reward, but not the refining. So they call themselves stuck, overlooked, unemployed, when really they've just refused the process that builds the person the job was designed for. Because purpose doesn't hire prematurely. It doesn't hand out roles like raffle tickets. It waits, not out of cruelty, but because the assignment demands capacity. And capacity is not a gift, it's grown. Grown in dark rooms, grown in lonely seasons, grown when you show up and no one claps, Grown when you serve where no one's watching, but that's boring, right? That's not sexy. Nobody posts about humility. They don't go viral for obedience. So we skip steps, call ourselves ready, then curse the silence when the door doesn't open. But you can't hack growth. You can't fake depth. You can't charm your way into alignment. You think you're waiting on the job's waiting on you. The you that's disciplined, the you that's not ruled by likes, moods, or moods pretending to be discernment. The you that can hear not yet and not spiral. But if you're still throwing tantrums when you don't get your way, maybe that's the reason the door's still closed. Maybe it's not a rejection. Maybe it's mercy. Because some roles would destroy the version of you that still needs applause to feel seen. No one wants to hear that. They want microwave miracles, instant assignments, a purpose that shows up in a package with clear instructions and zero suffering. And when it doesn't, they collapse. They scroll past every "you're about to walk into your season" post like it's prophecy, but never pause to ask, am I even becoming the person my season needs? They're spiritually unemployed because they keep skipping the orientation, showing up with gifts but no grit, talent but no trust, vision but no discipline. And that kind of foundation can't hold weight. So when storms hit, they crumble. Then blame the storm. Let me tell you something most won't. You don't get hired by purpose until you've passed some tests no one else sees. The silent ones, the ones that come in private, the ones that ask, will you still show up when no one's clapping? Will you still speak life when you feel like you're dying inside? Will you still honor what you don't understand? That's process. And most people tap out. They chase spotlight, not stewardship. They want title, not transformation. But purpose doesn't promote potential. It promotes preparedness, and preparation hurts. It scrapes the ego. It strips comfort. It exposes every shallow prayer and weak excuse. But in that tearing, in that training, something dangerous is built. A version of you that can't be seduced by hype. A version of you that doesn't fold when overlooked. A version that stops asking for opportunity and starts commanding it. Because now you've been forged. Now the room doesn't validate you. You validate the room. The ones who walk in purpose didn't get lucky. They got ready. And ready isn't about credentials, it's about character. It's what you do when nobody's looking. How you move when you're not being applauded. The ones who rise aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who bled in secret and didn't quit. They're the ones who let the process wreck their pride and rebuild their backbone. And now they don't chase jobs. They walk in callings. So if you're sitting there wondering why it hasn't happened yet, maybe ask the mirror, not the sky. Maybe the delay isn't denial. It's diagnosis. Maybe purpose hasn't passed you by. You just haven't surrendered to the fire that shapes you, because fire doesn't flatter. It forges. It reveals what's real and burns off what's fake. But if you'll let it, if you'll stay in it, if you'll stop whining and start working, you won't have to beg for a seat at the table. You'll become the table. Comfort zones, what a beautiful little trap. Soft cushions, predictable days, quiet desperation wrapped in the illusion of peace. They hand you routines and call it stability, numb you with normalcy and say, you're doing well. Keep your head down, follow the rules, don't make waves, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get a pat on the back and a decent retirement, but don't you dare step out of line. Don't dream too loud, don't stretch too far, because if you do, they'll remind you of everything that could go wrong. They'll dress up their fear and call it wisdom, but really, it's control. See, comfort zones are like invisible fences. You don't even know they're there until you try to move. And when you finally do, shock, resistance, pain, your body starts screaming, not because you're dying, but because you're waking up. Comfort has a way of sedating your calling, of drugging your drive, of making you believe survival is the same as success. But it's not. It's a lie. A cruel joke. Because while you're comfortable, your purpose is starving in the attic. You've been told to be grateful, be practical, be safe. But that's how they keep you stuck. That's how they keep you unemployed by heaven while fully booked by fear. They convince you that uncertainty is failure, that risk is irresponsible, that you should wait until you're ready. But ready never comes. That's the trap. You think you're buying time, you're really trading it, bit by bit, year by year, until one day you wake up and realize the dream didn't die. It just suffocated under layers of logic. The comfort zone is the unemployment line for destiny. That's where most people hang out, waiting for clarity, for a sign, for approval. They wear their patience like a badge, but it's not patience, it's paralysis. They talk like they're being wise, but it's just fear in a tuxedo. And the job they were born to do, the one that would shake rooms and shift atmospheres, it stays vacant because the one who was supposed to fill it is too busy maintaining appearances in a life they don't even want. They build a little box and call it success, job title, salary, security. And then they squeeze their wild, roaring, unpredictable purpose into that little box until it stops making noise. Then they tell others to do the same. Because if they can't break free, no one else should either. Misery loves company, but fear demands conformity. It whispers, "Don't try that. You'll look foolish. Don't apply there, you'll look foolish. Don't apply there, you'll look foolish. Don't speak up, you might fail." And most people listen. They shrink, they stall, they settle, and they call it wisdom. But if you've ever felt like you're rotting in safety, if you've ever had that gnawing in your gut that says, this can't be all there is, then congratulations, you're not broken, you're just awake. You're not lost, you're being summoned, called to something bigger, louder, heavier. But it's on the other side of that fence, and the only way out? Through the lies that say you need to be perfect before you start. You don't. You need to move. Because purpose won't meet you in your comfort zone. It waits just past it. But make no mistake, leaving it won't feel holy. It'll feel like dying. Your legs will shake, your friends might disappear, your inner critic will scream. But none of that means you're wrong. It means you're getting close. It means the cage is rattling. It means the lie is losing power. That panic you feel, that's not weakness, that's transformation. The version of you who thought small, settled early, and played nice, it's being evicted. And trust me, it won't go quietly. You'll be tempted to go back, to shrink again, to tell yourself maybe it wasn't that bad in the box, at least it was familiar, at least it didn't hurt this much, but you didn't come this far to crawl back into a cage. You didn't get cracked open just to be polite. You were made to shake things. But you can't do that while living on mute, while letting comfort rob you of courage, while waiting for everything to make sense before you take a step. No, the only way to move forward is messy, bloody, uncertain, but it's real. And real is where purpose lives. It doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't care if you're limping. It just needs you to step, to burn the box, to silence the lies, to look fear in the eye and laugh, because once you move, really move, comfort can't seduce you anymore. You'll be free. And the unemployed version of you, the one waiting for something to change, that version becomes unrecognizable once you choose fire over furniture. You want purpose? You want the job that was written for your soul before your skin even had time to wrinkle? Then you better get real comfortable with chaos. Well, they don't tell you that part, do they? They sell you dreams with filters on them, blue skies, clear roads, peaceful mornings where everything aligns and makes sense. But the real journey, the one that actually leads to the place you're aching for, that one starts with a breakdown, not a blueprint. It doesn't knock. It kicks in the door and says, ready or not, we're doing this the ugly way. See, people wait for signs, for peace, for confirmation. They want to feel good before they move, but purpose isn't polite like that. It doesn't tap you gently on the shoulder. It drags you out of bed, flips the table, and sets your fake comfort on fire. It doesn't care if you're in the mood. It comes when everything is falling apart. And when it does, oh, it's messy. Nothing makes sense. The people you trusted go silent. The places you found comfort, gone. And suddenly, you're sitting in the rubble thinking, this can't be it. But it is. That's exactly it. The chaos is the call. You think you need clarity to obey. You don't. You need guts. You need the kind of crazy that says, even if I don't know where this ends, I'm not staying here. But that kind of courage, it's rare. Most people would rather stay in a prison with predictable walls than walk blind through open gates. They'd rather rot in routines than risk the unknown. Because chaos exposes who you really are. It shows you what you're made of. No masks, no noise, just raw you, stripped and screaming. And if you're not ready for that, you'll run back to the cage and call it home. You ever get that feeling? That chill crawling down your spine? Not fear, no deeper than that. Like the universe just whispered your name with a crooked grin. And for once, it wasn't about you. See, people think everything that happens, every storm, every delay, every fall, it's punishment, karma, bad luck. But funny, isn't it? How you think she's just sitting there, scrolling, yawning, living in her own little world. Meanwhile, she's absorbing everything. Every sigh, every slammed door, every look you give the mirror when you think no one's paying attention. She's not just watching you, she's studying you. And not like a spectator at a show. No, like an apprentice. like someone building a manual for survival based on how you navigate your chaos. You think the weight you carry is yours alone? Nah. She feels it too, but smaller, softer, quieter. The way she flinches when your voice sharpens, the way her eyes dim when yours do. That's not coincidence. That's inheritance being written in real time. You ever seen a child pretend? Not playing house. I mean really pretend. They mimic the little things, the tone, the hesitation, the way you doubt yourself. She copies that. The way you second guess every decision, every outfit, every dream. That becomes her instinct. And then one day, she doesn't know where her fears end and yours begin. Because no one told her she could choose differently. She just assumed your way was the way. And why wouldn't she? You're the sun in her sky, the proof that reality exists. If you crumble, the whole world bends out of shape. You think she doesn't notice when you bite your tongue to keep the peace. She does. Thinks that's strength. Thinks that's what love looks like. That swallowing your truth is noble. That silence equals survival. And then she grows up and repeats the cycle. Smiling when she's breaking. Laughing when she wants to scream. All because you taught her without a word that this is how we live. That pain is just part of the costume. That pretending is safer than being seen. And here's the twist. She loves you too much to question it. So she'll follow you, right into the same self-doubt, same smallness, same need for approval. She'll wear the chains you never took off and call them style. That's how generational wounds work. Quiet, casual, dressed in love and loyalty. They pass down not through speeches, but through behaviors, through moods, through the things we never meant to say out loud but scream with our choices. But maybe you think, I'm doing my best, and you are. But best doesn't always mean right, and love, real love, sometimes means breaking your own pattern so she doesn't have to. It means doing the hard thing, not just the familiar thing. It means realizing she's building herself out of your broken pieces, hoping they'll fit, but they don't. And one day, when she tries to stand on what you stood on, it'll collapse under her too. She doesn't need a perfect you. She needs a real you. A you who's honest about the mess. A you who tries not to impress the world, but to free the next generation from the cage you were handed. She needs to see what it looks like when someone chooses truth over comfort. When someone decides, it ends with me. Not for applause, not for credit, but because her eyes are watching, her heart is shaping, and her future is quietly depending on the choices you think don't matter. You're not just living your life. You're setting the standard. You're defining normal. And one day when she tells her story, you'll be the main character whether you like it or not. Not because you asked to be, but because you already are. So when you fold, she learns that folding is acceptable. When you fight, she sees that fire doesn't mean destruction. It means resistance. It means legacy. It means maybe the pain wasn't pointless after all. It starts so subtly, doesn't it? A missed meal, a fake smile, a sigh that's just a little too heavy. You think you're the only one feeling the weight, the only one dragging your soul across the floor every morning, but someone's watching. And she's not watching like a stranger, she's watching like a mirror in training. She sees you break and keeps the pieces for herself. She sees you get back up and starts sketching the blueprint in her mind, one bruise at a time. You think she doesn't notice? Oh, but she does. Not in the way grown-ups do, with judgment or words. She notices with her silence, with her wide eyes, with how she starts doing what you do without even knowing why. Every time you keep going when you don't want to, she stores that. Every time you cry behind a locked door and come out pretending, she logs it. She's not copying the survival, she's absorbing the strategy. You're laying bricks without meaning to, and one day she'll be walking the very road you didn't even know you were building. And here's the sick little joke of it all. You thought you were just making it through. You thought your scars were just yours. But they're maps now. They're turning into directions she'll one day follow when she's lost in the dark. And the really funny part, the things you thought were failures, they become her foundation. Not the perfect moments, not the wins. No one learns from perfection. She learns from the pain you didn't hide, from the crack in your voice when you told the truth, from the way you moved anyway. See, the struggles you thought made you less, they're the very things that give her more. Because if you got through that, then maybe she can too. If you survive the storm, then maybe the thunder isn't something to be afraid of after all. You're not just surviving for yourself anymore. That illusion shattered the moment she looked up to you. Whether you asked for it or not, you became the evidence. The proof that it's possible to get knocked down and still move forward. You think she's fragile, but she's built from your bones, your choices, your strength. So when you take one more step, even if it's shaky, even if it's ugly, she sees it. And something in her changes. Something in her says, so this is what strength looks like. This is what we do. But it's not all about the doing. It's about what you heal. Because what you confront now, what you refuse to pass on, becomes her freedom. She'll never have to carry the things you burned. She'll never have to fight the demons you chose to face. That's the hidden power. That's the real gift. Not the life you give her, but the weight you don't. Most people think legacy is about money or success or reputation. But real legacy, it's healing what tried to break you so it doesn't break her too. It's choosing to become the version of yourself you never had growing up, so she doesn't have to go looking for it in the arms of people who don't deserve her. It's showing her that being strong isn't about pretending you're not hurt. It's about not letting the hurt decide who you become. So when you wipe your tears and stand up again, even when everything in you screams to quit, you're not just finishing something, you're starting something in her. You're showing her the cost of resilience, the price of not giving in. You're teaching her that just because life gets ugly doesn't mean she has to match its face. And in doing that, you're turning your battle into her blessing. It's a strange thing. Pain. People carry it like it's a birthright, pass it around like a family recipe. Here, take this anxiety, it's been in our blood for generations. Oh, and this fear, it belonged to Grandma. No one says it out loud, of course. They just live it, over and over again, in loops. You know the kind, the silent rules. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't cry, it makes people uncomfortable. Don't dream too big, it'll only hurt more when it falls apart. And you swallowed all of it. Every quiet command, every limitation dressed up as protection. But now you're here. And whether you like it or not, what you choose to carry, she'll carry too. Unless you do the unthinkable, unless you drop it. You've got chains, but they're wrapped in memories. Wrapped in survival. And when you try to let go, something whispers, if you let this go, who will you be? That's the joke, right? The pain became part of your personality. You think if you lose it, you lose you. But what if that was never you? What if it was just the echo of someone else's brokenness bouncing around your head for so long? It started to sound like truth. And now there's this girl watching you, breathing you in, building herself from your fragments, and you're still holding on to ghosts that were never yours to begin with. But if you let it go, really let it go, she won't even have to know its name. She won't have to unlearn the fear of taking up space or apologize for being loud or confuse love with approval. You think you're keeping the peace, but really you're just handing her a quieter version of the same war. She doesn't need a clean house or perfect answers or filtered smiles. She needs freedom. And freedom doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from watching someone decide to stop bleeding for other people's comfort. You think healing is soft. It's not. It's brutal. It's standing in the middle of your own mess, pointing to the wound and saying, this stops here. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. And when she sees that, when she sees you choose discomfort over legacy, she learns. Not by words, but by watching the war end in your eyes. You think she doesn't notice, but she does. She notices when your laugh sounds real, when your shoulders aren't so heavy, when you start choosing yourself without explanation. And slowly, without ever being told, she understands she can too. Most people run from their shadows. You're dancing with yours. Not because you enjoy it, but because you know if you don't, she'll have to. And that's the shift. That's where you stop reacting and start rewriting. The rules, the roles, the rhythm, it all changes when you decide the cycle dies with you. And make no mistake, it is a decision. One the world won't applaud you for. One that will cost you your comfort, your routine, maybe even your identity. But it buys her something you never had, a clean slate. You don't need to be a hero. You just need to stop being a vessel for the same pain that raised you. Let it end in your mouth, not in hers. Let it die in your silence, not in her story. Because one day she's going to face her own battles. And if she's not dragging your chains behind her, she just might win. Not because life got easier, but because you got braver. And your bravery became her birthright. Silence. It doesn't scream, doesn't cry, doesn't throw things across the room. It just sits, heavy, lurking in the corners like a quiet ghost. And people call it peace. They say, look how calm she is. When really, that calm, that's the sound of someone who's learned not to speak because no one listened the first time. And she watches. She sees it. She thinks it's normal. Thinks this is just how people operate. You want to say, I'm doing it for her. But are you? Or are you just afraid of what would happen if you finally let it out? Afraid of the mess? Of being seen? Because once the truth is out, you can't tuck it back in. It stretches, it echoes. It changes the way people look at you. And maybe the scariest part is, it might change the way you look at yourself. That's the sound of someone who decided a long time ago that the world doesn't care about what hurts unless it's entertaining. So they just nod, smile, choke it all down. And you've done it too. Mastered the art of holding it in. Of keeping your voice neatly folded in your back pocket like a receipt you're afraid to lose. You were told not to make noise, told to be polite, quiet, agreeable. You were taught that speaking out meant starting a fight, that having needs made you a burden. And so you turned your fire down. You dimmed your light. You laughed when it wasn't funny, apologized when it wasn't your fault. All of it for survival. But she's watching. And what she sees is not strength. She sees permission to disappear, to shrink, to edit herself in every room until she fits into something small enough to never offend anyone. So now you're here, standing on a tightrope of silence, calling it grace. But you know better. You've felt the scream clawing at your throat in the middle of the night. You've looked in the mirror and seen someone unrecognizable, someone who gave up her roar for the illusion of peace. But here's the twist. Your silence doesn't protect her. It teaches her. It teaches her that her voice is optional, that her truth is too loud, that her emotions are something to manage, not express. You want to protect her? Then speak, even if it trembles, even if it shatters the image they've built of you. Because what good is an image if it keeps you imprisoned? What good is appearing strong if it costs you your soul? She doesn't need a perfect example, she needs a real one. Someone who cries when it hurts. Someone who says no without guilt. Someone who stands up when the world expects them to sit down and shut up. Let her see you. Disrupt the silence. Let her watch you turn discomfort into power. Let her hear you say, "I matter," and mean it. Because if you don't, she won't. She'll think love means silence, that comfort means compliance, that her truth is too heavy for anyone to carry. And then one day she'll bite her tongue just like you did, and it'll bleed just the same. You don't owe the world your silence. You don't owe your past a repeat performance. What you owe is honesty. Raw, uncomfortable, liberating honesty. The kind that breaks patterns. The kind that scares the weak and awakens the sleeping. And if that shakes a few rooms, good. Maybe they needed shaking. Maybe silence was the problem all along. Not the savior, not the solution, just a muzzle dressed up as maturity. And now you've got the key. The choice. The voice. Use it not just for you, but because she thinks silence is how strong women survive. Funny, isn't it? How people cheer the loudest for your victories, but vanish when you're bleeding. They love the highlight reel, the glow up, the comeback story. Just skip the part where you're on the floor gasping. Skip the nights you stared at the ceiling wondering if you even mattered. Skip the way your hands shook when you had to pretend everything was fine. Because every time you choose to get back up, even when your legs are jelly and your heart's dragging behind you, she learns. Not from your wins, but from the climb. From the gritted teeth. From the bruises you don't hide. From the breath you take before facing the same chaos that tried to take you out yesterday. That's what teaches her. Not speeches. Not bedtime advice. Action. Raw, messy, ugly action. That's what builds her spine. That's what tells her she can fall apart and still be whole. Oh no, they don't want that. It's too real, too raw. Doesn't photograph well, but her. The one with your eyes, your laugh, your fire still forming. She needs the whole story. Not the polished version, not the Instagram filtered fiction. She needs to see what fighting really looks like. The world keeps trying to convince you that strength is loud, that it's about control, power, domination. But real strength is the quiet decision you make at 3 a.m. when no one's clapping for you. When everything hurts and you still get up, still love, still show up. That's the kind of strength she watches. That's the kind that shapes her bones before she even knows what she's made of. You think she's not paying attention, but she sees everything. The way your jaw clenches when you want to scream but choose not to. The way you cry in the bathroom and then fix your face before coming out like nothing happened. The way you almost gave up but didn't. That's her inheritance. Not money, not a legacy of perfection. But proof. Proof that it's possible to live with pain and not become it. To love with a shattered heart. To keep choosing life when it keeps choosing war. And every time you take that one more step, just one more, she absorbs it. It becomes a part of her wiring. A voice in the back of her head that whispers, "We keep going. Even when it sucks, even when no one's watching, even when everything in you says to crawl under the weight and stay there." You want to be soft for her. You want her to have peace, to be gentle. But softness without a spine is just silence. Peace without power is just surrender. She needs both. She needs to know that fire and grace can exist in the same body, that you can be kind and still say no, that you can hurt and still move forward, that you can be broken and still be enough. That's what your steps tell her, not your words, your steps. Because she doesn't just need a mother, or a sister, or a protector. She needs a warrior. And not the Hollywood kind, the kind who doesn't have the option to lose because someone else's future is tied to her survival. So don't underestimate the way she watches you. Don't downplay the impact of your smallest choice. The outfit you wear when you feel like hiding. The meal you eat when your appetite is gone. The way you straighten your back when you want to fold. These aren't just survival moves. They're sermons. She's learning what it means to be a woman from your unspoken truths. Learning that falling isn't failure. That scars aren't shameful. That choosing yourself isn't selfish. That staying soft in a cruel world isn't weakness, it's war.